The Armoury is a family Bible board game adventure. You will need 3 to 7 players to play. First, visit the armoryboardgame.com and download the starter kit. Determine who is going to be the Game Master. The Game Master leads the game and should preferably be a parent. Set up the board as follows. Place the challenge, attack, defense and utility cards next to each other and the boss deck as shown. Allocating player roles. There are 6 unique player roles in the game, with different strengths and weaknesses having different responsibilities. The Game Master allocates roles to players. To determine which role a player has, the Game Master must have all players do 1 attack, 1 defense and 1 utility card challenge. The Game Master adds up the points each player scores in the individual challenges. Let us assume player 1 scores 10 attack points, 5 defense points and no utility points. Player 2 scores no attack points, 5 defense points and 5 utility points. Player 3 scores no attack points, 1 defense point and 2 utility points. Player 1 is allocated a player role first, as they scored 15 points in total. Player 2 would be allocated second, as they scored 10 points, with player 3 being allocated a player role last due to their 3-point score. Since player 1 scored highest in attack, with their defense score being second, you would allocate them the warrior role, as the warrior's primary role is attack, secondary role is defense, and weakness is utility. Player 2 has an equal amount of points in defense and utility. Give this player the option to choose between the player roles that apply to them and that are still available. In this situation, the Game Master would show the player the Prophet and the Bard. All player role descriptions are found on the back of the player role sheets. Let us assume player 2 picks the Bard. Player 3 would usually be allocated the Bard, however the Bard is now taken. The Game Master would then count the player's second highest point score as their primary score, and their highest as their secondary score. Player 3, in this case, would be allocated the Prophet. Players would then receive their player board markers and health points that represent them on the board. Player board markers are also used to demonstrate any positive or negative effects that are on the player. These should always be updated as the game progresses, so players know who needs assistance. Players would also receive their player role sheets and would use attack, defense and utility markers to represent their points. Boss health. To determine the health points of the boss, the Game Master adds up the combined health points of all the players and doubles it. The Game Master would then divide these total health points into the targets of the boss. In this case there are 3. Use the 12-sided dice to represent the health points on each boss target on the board. Player roles. All players start at the Armoury. Players must work together to defeat the boss by doing attack, defense and utility card challenges to gain points to do abilities. The objective is to remove all the health points of the boss by attacking the boss targets. Since all the health points of the boss have to be removed for the game to end, the Bard and Prophet cannot be played by themselves, as none of these player roles have an attack ability. There must always be a player whose primary or secondary role is attack. If a Bard or Prophet are the last player standing, the game will end. The Prophet can revive fallen players, and if in the position to do so, the game can continue. Player turns. The sequence of player turns is as follows. Player 2 will first move. Note that the Bard can move 4 spaces due to the player's utility role, and the Warrior can only move 2 spaces due to the Warrior's utility weakness. Also note that the Prophet has the most health points due to the Prophet's defense role, and the Warrior's ability to attack due to the Warrior's attack role. Player 2, the Bard, will receive 2 utility points for landing in this position. The player would then add this to their utility points on the player sheet. Player 2 would then decide to do either an attack, defense or utility card challenge. The points they score from this challenge will be added to their points to do abilities, or they can be traded. Trading challenge points. When a player does a challenge, if they score 5 or more points, they have the option to trade 5 of these points to obtain a specific benefit. The benefits are as follows. When a player does an attack challenge, they can trade 5 of their awarded points for might. Might grants an attack increase to the player. The next time the player attacks, they will do an additional point of damage to the boss. This has no effect on the Prophet or Bard as they have no attack abilities. However, the Bard and Prophet can give might to another player if they wish. When a player does a defense challenge, they can trade 5 of their awarded points for Fortitude. Fortitude grants a defense increase to the player. The player cannot lose health points on their current turn. The Archer and Swordsman can give Fortitude to another player if they wish. When a player does a utility challenge, they can trade 5 of their awarded points for Swiftness. Swiftness grants a utility increase to the player. The player moves an extra space and can't be stunned or slowed on their next turn. The Knight and Warrior can give Swiftness to another player if they wish. Stacking effects. Might can stack. For example, if a player obtains Might and then later receives Might again without having attacked, the next time they attack they will remove additional 2 health points from the target they are attacking. Swiftness can also stack. For example, if a player gains Swiftness and is awarded Swiftness again by the Knight or Warrior before their next turn, they will move an additional 2 spaces. Fortitude does not stack. Note, trading points for Might, Fortitude or Swiftness cannot be done from stored points. The trade must take place before points are awarded immediately after a challenge. Player abilities. The Bard decides to do a utility card challenge and scores 10 points, and decides not to trade any points. The player now has the ability to do Psalm of the Swift. In so doing, the Bard loses 15 utility points, with all players, including the Bard, having the ability to move an extra space next turn. The Bard also gains 10 defense points, and all other players receive 3 utility points. Please note that some abilities are limited by range. Boss cards. All players end their turn by picking up a boss card. The effect of this card is applied and carried over to the next turn of the player. This is how players receive negative effects and lose health points. The other players would follow the same sequence as player 2 on their turns. Move and apply space points, apply armor points, do an attack, defense or utility card challenge, decide to trade or not, do abilities, and finally pick up a boss card. Armor. All players have a 6-piece set of armor. Once the whole set is received, players will be able to do their special ability, which is always powered by weakness points. Armor is awarded by armor rolls. Armor rolls require 20 weakness points, or can be gained by successfully doing a gold mine group challenge, or defeating a boss target. For an armor roll, a 6-sided die is rolled by the player to determine which piece they get. The effects of armor apply as soon as they are obtained. If a player rolls for a piece of armor that they have already gained, the player will receive a weakness point challenge trade benefit instead. Might, Fortitude, or Swiftness. Positive and negative effects. If all players fall in battle against the boss, they will all start again in the Armoury, with no attack, defense, or utility points. Players keep the armor they have found before they die. However, the health points of the boss are fully reset. Stun effects render the player useless on their turn. They cannot move, attack, or do a challenge card. Players that are stunned must still pick up a boss card at the end of their turn and still receive the benefits of their armor. Slow effects reduce the mobility of the player, usually reducing their movement completely or by subtracting 1 space move from their top movement speed. Quests. Once all the health points of the boss have been removed, the players have won the game and defeated their foe. Players will receive a quest as a reward. Quests are challenges that are done outside of the game. They require a guarantor, who will overlook the player's progress, holding them accountable, and encouraging them to fulfill the quest's demands. Mark of the Learned is a quest where the player is challenged to read the Gospel of Mark over 6 days. If this is completed before the Armoury is played again, this player will receive significant benefits the next time they play the Armoury. The Master's Forge is a precursor card game to the Armoury Bible board game. Players forge unique armor that can be used in the Armoury board game. For more information, visit the Armoury store. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to ask. Put on the full armour of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.